Former NBA basketball player Tim Hardaway was promised big year-end bonuses if he put up big assists. Well, guess what he did? He passed a lot, especially toward the end of the year when he didn't think that he'd hit his performance target. While his shots were pretty darn good, his shot attempts seemed to dwindle toward the end of the season. He even went on record saying that occasionally when he had the opportunity to make a clear shot, he decided instead to pass. Because he said, I just really wasn't incented to do it. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored one guest, how do you feel about the success of Tim Hardaway's incentive plan? Think about that for a minute. On one hand, it was successful because it made him change his behavior, something that all incentive structures are trying to do. On the other hand, you could argue that it was unsuccessful. It made him selfish. It made him astray from the end goals of his team. Motivation and incentives are difficult to think through. It's a lot easier to think about an employee and think of how they're going to react to a certain incentive structure. It's a lot harder to think about how those actions are going to affect or make consequent to the firm based on those actions. Over the next few days, I'll be giving various talks on motivation here at Toastmasters. We'll discuss the best way to motivate an employee and also how to avoid common pitfalls. Under that umbrella, tonight I'll be talking about performance measures and how that is a key ingredient of motivation as a whole. Tim Hardaway clearly had performance measures in his mind when he decided to shoot or to pass. He had very defined, measurable performance measures that guided his time on the court. Having defined and measurable performance measures are important in any organization. Outside of basketball, these measures could be anything from sales targets to customer satisfaction scores, or anything that's really measurable. A firm can establish these goals to essentially write law. They could imply to their employees what they expect based upon these incentive structures. They're important to keep employees and the firm honest and also eliminate a lot of subjectivity. Like any employee with an employee plan, Tim Hardaway wrote down his measure. He made a roadmap to find it. His coach thought, however, that he was making the best choices on behalf of the team. The miscommunication led to a pitfall called the multi-problem pitfall, essentially saying that the coach was rewarding him for behavior A, but getting result B. Furthermore, you really need to keep a close eye on an employee along the way as they're achieving this performance measure, because they could try to game the system. In the 1900s, paleontologists were digging for dinosaur bones in China. And to try to speed up the process, they recruited some people from the village to try to help them. They motivated them by bringing them bone fragments. And for every bone fragment, they gave them a bonus as payment. So as you guys might expect, they dug out big, ancient dinosaur bones from the dirt. And they shattered them into pieces to increase their yield. These paleontologists learned a keen lesson. Monitor the measure, or else you'll end up with bone fragments. Lastly, it's also important not to pick up these performance benchmarks as the employee starts hitting these goals, or else it'll be very demotivating for the employee to try to hit that next goal to a big extent the next time. ratchet effect says that the frequency of you moving a benchmark, the more demotivating that benchmark can be in the first place. Sergei Bubka, Ukraine's most elite pole vaulter. He was motivated by his country to break world records. Well, he learned soon enough that he didn't want to break the last world record, or else he'd have too much trouble breaking the next one and he wouldn't get paid. He stands today with 35 world records. All of them, not one of them, beat by more than an inch. Fellow Toastmasters, performance metrics are important in any motivation and incentive plan. Let these examples show you that sometimes you can run aground. And stay tuned for the next couple of weeks to hear more on how to fix that. Thank you.